Palestinian and allied Google employees speak out about the anti-Palestinian bias they have witnessed within the company. This bias, and the larger company pattern of stifling concerned workers' voices, is part of a larger culture. The same culture that has enabled Google to justify its $1 billion contract with the Israeli government and military, Project Nimbus. The Google employee in this video is speaking out anonymously due to fear of retaliation. To protect their identity, their story is read aloud by a volunteer.
I've been a Googler for nearly a decade. For a long time, I felt like I could bring my whole self to work. All that ended in May 2021. As a Palestinian, I was deeply impacted by the Israeli assault on Gaza. Seeing people who look and sound like my family being killed, injured, and losing their homes took a massive toll on my mental health. At work, I heard leaders giving condolences to Israelis, with no mention of how Palestinian Googlers might be impacted, despite the majority of the death toll being Palestinian, including 66 Palestinian children killed. This experience made me feel my identity was being erased at work. My feelings of marginalization only grew when I began seeing my coworkers getting accused of anti-Semitism and called into meetings with HR for voicing pro-Palestinian sentiments. Many of them were issued warnings just for having empathy for Palestinians. It's clear Google has a financial interest in Israel, and internally, that's translated into systemic policies that weaponize anti-Semitism against anyone who criticizes Israel or raises concern about Palestinian human rights. In one instance, I attended a diversity meeting hosted by someone reporting to Melanie Parker, our Chief Diversity Officer. During this meeting, Google DEI announced a series of new formal partnerships with nonprofit organizations. The team said these partnerships were intended to promote religious tolerance at Google. 2 out of 3 of the organizations mentioned have content on their website explicitly linking support of Palestine to anti-Semitism. This sort of partnership is another example of Google explicitly endorsing and funding groups and efforts that harm Palestinians, and weaponizing the notion of DEI to do so. I tried to raise to the DEI team that this harms me, but I was repeatedly brushed off and ignored by them.